Happy Friday, Barstow, and welcome to BTVN. I'm Abby Krause.
And I'm Emily Trainin. Abby, how was the BTVN trip to Fox 4?
It was a lot of fun. We really learned a lot, but we'll have more about our trip later in the show. But for right now, let's roll the intro. Welcome back. So Emily, since it's your first time hosting, do you want to start us off with some announcements?
Of course. The annual auction is coming up and Ms. Culver needs some volunteers. The auction is Saturday, February 28th at the Ritz-Charles in Overland Park. There are 3 separate shifts you can choose from, so if you want to sign up, you can do so on the spreadsheet Ms. Culver shared with all of you.
Just a reminder that midterms are 1 week away. Bailey Chowders caught up with Ms. Bartow. Let's see what she had to say.
Hi, so this is a friendly reminder that next Friday's midterm. You have the whole weekend to get caught up on homework that needs to be turned in. Probably you've got some tests coming up next week, so make sure that you study hard, but find some time to enjoy yourselves also.
Thanks, Bailey. This year's Story Club has really been working hard. Lately, they've been preparing for the Louder Than a Bomb KC poetry competition. All these young and talented poets have been reading and reciting poems. In fact, Elise and Alexa actually made a piece that talks more about the club. Check it out.
So, Story Club is a conjunction of Barstow and poetry, and we sort of made up the name. It's a little bit more official this year than it was last year. I joined my sophomore year when the wonderful Miss Lindsay Zimmerman introduced the concept of Louder Than a Bomb to me and a couple of my friends who were very interested in written word poetry at the time but weren't really aware of the slam poetry genre. So what we did was we formed a team. I was unfortunately unable to perform that year, but several people performed fantastic pieces, and I got really interested in the idea of slam poetry, and I wanted to get more people involved. But poetry is a passion of mine. I write quite a bit outside of class and sometimes in class. Sorry, teachers. And so I wanted to expand my knowledge of poetry by looking at what some of my friends were interested in, but also wanted to educate those who maybe thought it was cool, but they didn't really know what poetry is as a genre, because it's really quite varied and people don't realize that Walt Whitman is not the only thing out there. He's great, but there are other kinds too. Louder Than a Bomb is a slam poetry competition, and Barstow has sent a team every year that Louder Than a Bomb has happened in Kansas City. And so the idea is you bring together youths from all over the city and we sort of express these really complex social situations and emotions and things that have happened in our lives. And you get 3 minutes and 3 minutes only. They will cut you off and you will lose points if you go over time. And you stand there and you pour out your heart and soul to this room of people who understand you, and then at the end everyone claps, and it's this moment of catharsis of, oh my gosh, these people understand what I'm going through.
And how am I supposed to be the same when you left as quickly as the wind? And even hurricanes are given names, but our love was indiscriminate.
Our scrimmage, or bout as they're called, is on March 21st, and I highly encourage anyone who would like to come and listen to a mixture of a rap battle and a literature words per minute contest. Please come and stop by a Story meeting. We meet on Tuesdays in Lindsay Zimmerman's room. We'd be happy to have you.
Thanks for that piece. Now switching from poetry to sports, Emily, how's dance team this year?
We're doing really great. We're getting ready for our state competition on February 20th.
That's awesome. Now let's head to the gym to find out how the rest of our teams are doing in this week's sports roundup.
Hey Barstow Sports Nation, and welcome back to another sports roundup. First, let's kick off the announcements with basketball. The boys and girls teams both played in tournaments last week. The guys placed 5th in the St. Thomas Aquinas tournament, and the girls placed 3rd in the Washington High School tournament. On Tuesday night, the boys faced St. James and won the game 73-53. As for the girls, they played Olathe North and beat them in overtime with a score of 50-47. Today, the girls and boys team both play Summit Christian for lower school night. This will be a great event, and both teams hope to see a lot of fans come to the rivalry game. Lastly, the boys team play Kickapoo High School on Saturday at 4 p.m. at Ozarks High School. Good luck to all the teams competing the rest of the week. In other sports news, track had their first week of practices and workouts for the season. If you haven't made it to any workouts and you're still interested, make sure to either contact Coach Misham or make it to workouts ASAP. Before we go, let's make sure we gear up for homecoming game next Friday at 7. The boys and girls team will compete against Heritage Christian, and the nominations will walk the red carpet during the first half of the boys' game. For all the fans who plan to come out, make sure to arrive early because the gym will be packed. Well, that's all for Sports Roundup. Catch you guys next week, Barstow Nation. I'm Allison, signing off. Now back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Allison. And of course, for all of you viewers, if you cannot make the game, you can always watch it online because BTVN will be live streaming the game.
BTVN is pretty busy these days. As we mentioned at the start of our show, BTVN's best and brightest took a trip to Fox 4 this morning to tour the studio and just see how broadcast news is done for real. Here's a montage of our trip by Wanjo. Check it out.
Is now broadcasting in high definition for over 60 years. So welcome to Fox 4. It's good to have you here. We're going to start here on a tour. We're going to take you around here. I've got some handouts here we're going to have you guys take a look at too as well. All right? Great. Good deal? So let's go in this way here, all right? It's a little bit.
It's amazing because we worry. I know I myself worry. 35,000, the 35,000, the 100,000, or the.
It's B. Oh, I see it right there. Oh, that's really nice. One question here. Has anybody got a question about this room right here? Yep.
He's trying to do a white balance and he's trying to find something. That's wild. That's wild.
Tomorrow at Harbor Hall, tickets will be sold on a time entry basis, but once it's out, you stay. Season ticket holders are going to be allowed to enter players if they make an appearance and give autographs. So visit the Fox 4 booth and win some getting credit for tables right here and lots of and clubs and Aaron. So they
everybody came back. Don't screw up. Don't screw up. Good luck. Don't screw up. That made it worse. He's right. We've done it for so long that it's not as easy.
Now she gets anxious sitting next to me, not knowing.
There, you see her? You got her on TV right now, see? That's awesome.
It's not a real serious story. Nobody wants you to be perfect. I'm very good at not being perfect.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Fox 4!
A big thanks to Fox 4, and especially to our tour guide, Nick Bassos. We had a great time and learned a great deal. Moving on, we caught up with Zuhair to see how robotics team is doing.
So we have pretty much come up with the final design and we've started to build everything with that. So we have it's a 3-part robot. We have the drivetrain with the frame that's attached to an arm and a scaler that's going to be built. So we've all worked on it. The drivetrain should be completed soon, and we've worked on the arm and the scaler quite a bit, and those have been starting to be built, and it should be done pretty soon here.
Thanks, Zuhair, and best of luck to the robotics team on their season.
Barstow is excited to announce another trip to visit our partner school, the Maki School in Japan. Barstow has a long-standing relationship with the school, and we are planning a trip for this summer.
That's right. Our adventure in Japan will be from June 3rd, 2016 to June 13th, 2016. Barstow students will spend a week in a homestay with a host student from the Maki School. We also have some very exciting side trips planned, visiting a handful of the amazing towns and cities of Japan.
On Monday, February 1st from 6 to 7 p.m., interested families and their students will meet to discuss the trip in more detail. Todd Nelson, assistant of the lower school, and other Barstow faculty will share their past experience with the Maki School. Students in graduating classes of 2016 to 2020 are eligible to participate in this trip.
To end our show, we will have another Guess That Senior Baby. You can email your guess to btvn@barstowschool.org during Flex. If you're in the first one, you will win a prize.
Well, that's all we have time for today. I'm Abby Krause.
And I'm Emily Trainin. Don't forget to stay put after credits to vote for homecoming.
Have a great weekend, Barstow.